Hi, this is Jim Gibson from CableSupply.com, and thank you for joining us on our little trip down the road here, learning about patch cords and patch cables. And a lot of people don't know what they are, but they connect two devices together. You know, it can start out with your computer to the wall, or from a computer switch in your data room to your patch panel. From the switch to the router, from the router to the firewall. They all use patch cords, and it's the standard today to use patch cords. Now, some people like to make their own patch cords, and that's fine. You know, they get the equipment out, they understand the cabling scheme and everything else, and so they go ahead and they make their own patch cords. And me personally, patch cords are so inexpensive today, I don't want to fool with making patch cords. And usually, even for me, I've done this years and years and years and years. Even for me, when I have to make something, a patch cord, or I have to put a mod plug at the end of a patch cord, sometimes I'm a little rusty because I haven't done it in many, many years. But the industry does provide these patch cords that are tested and proven and everything else. I think in all the years I've sold patch cords, I have not had one return to our company that was defective. But, you know, now that I got a video, I'm sure one will pop up. Is this Murphy's Law? But what you're looking at here is you're looking at three different styles of patch cords. Now, they all are the same category. It does not affect the category concerning the ends. But if you notice, each end is a little different. And what we do in our website is we only sell what we use. And I tell you, it's a real pain in the neck to use something really cheap. I'm not talking about inexpensive. That's a different story. I'm talking about cheap. When you use cheap, you get embarrassed because you got to go back and replace it. It takes time. The money you save just isn't worth it. So I always recommend buy quality. Here are three quality patch cords that have different designs. Yeah, and what I always say is, this is good, this patch cord right here, this is probably going to be the least expensive. Again, not cheap product, it's well made, and I'm going to show you why you can tell it's well made. And of course, this is good, this is better, and this is called a bubble boot right here, and this is better. And then of course, this is best. This is the one I like right here. And I like this little lip here. It's very flexible, it's easy to deal with, and it's nice. Good, better, best. However, none of these are your cheapo patch cords. They're going to fall apart after a few months, or it's going to embarrass you with your customers, or going to hinder you with putting in your computer or something like that, you know. It just isn't. Now, a lot of times, I know a lot of people have seen this because sometimes you buy a product, and this is the type of patch cord you get. You get the one without the boot. And why is this so bad? Well, it's not. It's pretty good. The trouble I run into is this little mod plug clip right here. And I'm sure you can hear it. Can you hear it? I'm sure you can hear it. And which is fine. They all have that little clip, but it's how those little clips are protected. Now in this one, there is absolutely no protection for that little clip. So, you know, you're just going to plug it in and forget it and never unplug it? Nah, who cares? It's always going to be there. It's an inexpensive patch cord. Again, not cheap, but inexpensive. But what happens to this clip is sometimes when you're pulling it and there's a bunch of wires all around it like this, you know, and you're pulling that clip through, you see what's happening there? You see how it got caught? And then what happens is that clip gets bent all the way back like that. And then when you try to fix it, after one or two tries, it breaks off. Completely breaks off. And you know, it's an inexpensive one. What you do is you just throw it away and you just get another one. And who cares? But some other people like the bubble boot, and that's a pretty good one. And I really like the bubble boot too. Now, one thing that I'm going to show you with all these, or actually, with all of them, is the quality. So if you look real close here, and this is where some people who are making their own patch cords mess up. You notice that that little plastic lip there is squeezing down on the cord. And what happens is that when you try to pull it, out, that's going to take the strain from it being pulled out. So this is a quality patch cord. Sometimes people strip them and you see the wires are all sticking out and everything else, and they look pretty bad. And they're not, they're not nice at all, and everything else. But this is quality, and again, all these patch cords are tested at the manufacturer, and so they're going to work. And this is not bad. This is not bad. One-time use, never going to unplug it, things like that, or you're selling it with your product. This is how most products, when they come with patch cords, this is what they look like. They look like this. This is most inexpensive. The next lineup is going to be, and again, the colors don't matter. They come in many, many colors. Some people have particulars about the colors, but let's look at this. If you notice, this is called injection molding. The injection molding goes all the way up to the end, and that adds extra strength to your mod plug. The end, these things are called mod plugs, modular plugs, and they're actually called, they're set up as an RJ45. A lot of people use that. It's actually a slang. They're 8-position, 8-conductor mod plugs because they have 8 positions in it, total of 8 wires, 4 pairs. Remember, we talk about pairs in telecom. But in this case, this has injected molding. So when this plastic was hot, the machine put all this together and then squeezed this plastic in there under high pressure, and it went all the way to the edge, and that's what you want. And it also has, besides the bubble boot that protects that from snapping back, what it does is you also have the strain relief little thing here. So when you take it and you plug it in, I'm sure you've seen some, a lot of stress put on some of these patch cords when you have a lot of patch cords weighing down on it and all. It doesn't give you a crink. It just gently bends, so it's a strain release. Plus, these things are built so strong that no matter how you pull on them, you're not going to pull them apart here because of that injected molding and the bubble boot. And it's pretty good. A lot of people use this. When you pull this out amongst many types of cords, the cords won't grab that little clip. They will just pass right over it, and then you're doing pretty good at that point. So these are pretty good. These are a good price. These are it's a nice purchase. It's reliable. You can use them for years and years and years. Also, in these patch cords, you have stranded cable. And stranded cable holds up better in bending all the time. If you're using solid cable, you can bend it off and on and all the time, but it's not as flexible and as easy to work with. And then the last and my favorite is of course this one. They call it Flex. So this is my favorite, is the Flex, and sometimes they call it a Ferrari. I have no idea why they call it a Ferrari. A lot of people call them Flex, and I really like this because. And I'm going to show you a little later here in the video why I like these over this one. I mean, it's obvious why I like this over this one, especially in a data room. You're going to see why. But this is my favorite of all the patch cords. And again, as you can see, it goes all the way up in there, the injection molding. It's high pressure injection. It's not going to come out. It squeezes the wire really tight. At the same time, it has that flexing ability right here that prevents it from, being really bent hard, and then you don't want to do that with computer cables. So this flex thing really works well, and I'm going to show you here in a second. When you go back to a switch, I'm going to show you a little video on why this works better than this one. Well, here we are out in this old dingy, dirty data room. You can tell there's not a lot of pride here. Got all different color patch cords and stuff like that, and you grab one, you plug it in, everything else. One thing you got to remember too, if you're buying patch cords from us, you can buy them in bulk. We'll sell them to you at a lower price if you buy them in bulk, because it saves us time. We don't have to count them out. They come in so many per box and things like that. It's just easier for us to do that. Plus, it's just as easy to put, 50 of these in a small box as it is to put one of these in a small envelope. So we pass on the savings to you. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about the 3 different types, and I'm going to show you. So what we have here is we have a very old Cisco Catalyst switch. And again, if you don't know what a switch is, there's a video on it. You need to watch it. It's very informative, and if you're an IT guy, you should know what a switch is. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, it's not as important. But a switch is a wonderful thing. I love switches. I love routers. I'm a network guy by heart, along with the cable. I love cabling. But this is cable management here, and then you got cable dismanagement out here. All different colors and all, but you know, it works. Most places, this is the way you're going to see it. I like the fact that sometimes people use the same color for the same application, and it looks neat when you got a big data center and everything else. So, you know, they'll use the color red to go from one switch to another switch, and then they'll use the color blue for just normal applications, you know, attaching to computers out in the office area, and then they'll use maybe black going to a special item like a router or something. Anyway, different colors sometimes mean different things to the technician, to the engineer. To me, it means nothing. Most people buy blue. We sell far more blue than we sell any other color. Probably 8-to-1 blue. Anyways, you can see here there's all different types that we're using here going into our messy cable management. And we do sell these cable managements. At least it does make things look better. So just, you know, if you're thinking of doing cable management, we sell this also, sell horizontal stuff. But, you know, the idea is these are all tight and close together, and sometimes it's hard to get to that boot when you're dealing with the bubble boot or the Ferrari one. So it's nice to be able to get in here and just push on it. I'm trying to find a bubble. This is a bubble right here. I can feel it, but it's kind of see, sometimes these things get a little hard after a couple of years, and it's kind of, you almost need a screwdriver to get that out. I can't get it out. There you go. So the bubble is a little old there, and it's very stiff. And you know, it's not my preference. I like the flex end, sometimes called Ferrari. And if you notice, I'm going to pull this out. There's no lights there, so I know the computer is not attached, and I'm not going to knock someone off the internet or while they're talking to someone. We use voice over IP, but you push right here, it comes right out. You see the difference? That's why I love these things. These are great. This is my preference. These, you know, you're unplugging and you're pulling out, and you get it caught on another piece of cable. You know, you're pulling it through here and gets caught, and it gets bent back like that. Darn it! You know, then you turn around and you throw them away because it's useless. But you know, the bubble boot and the flex is really the best way to go. It has that strain relief, and as you can see, some of this has been sitting here for years, and it just makes that nice little curve. And that's what you want in cabling. You want that curve. You don't want any sharp edges like that. You want a nice curve on everything. You don't want things tight. So when you're thinking of how long should I, you know, what's the length of that patch cord? How long should it be? Well, it should be more than you're measuring. If you're measuring from here down to our patch panel down here, then, you know, hey, look, it will fit. No, it won't. Because it will be very, very tight. So if you think you need 6 inches, go with 12, you know? Now some of this is excessive. I don't know why we have extra in there, but that's what it is. And did I plug everyone back in? Let me plug them back in. And so that's what you want to do. You know, you want to do cable management, you want to use the right cord, and these. And you know, gosh, if you're going to buy these things, buy more than you need, because what will happen is you buy just the amount you need today, then you hire a new employee and they need it, and you got to order a cord from the computer to the wall, and then from the patch panel to the switch, and just order extra. When I worked in the IT department, we had a big box, and anytime we had to patch something new, we patched it in new. We got a new patch cord. They're so inexpensive to use. But the bottom line is IT is a wonderful field to be in when you have the right equipment and you have the right parts and you have the experience. And it gets a lot easier over time with experience. You almost can foresee the problems before they happen, like, I have no more patch cords, let me order more than one. Those type of problems. So just to give you a comparison, this is an RJ11. This is used for your, let me move some of these over here. This is used for your telephones, your telephones, your fax machines, your modems, things like that. And this has 3 pairs in it, and this type of cable with this patch cord is called a silver satin. It's a flat patch cord. This is smaller, as you can tell the difference between the two, a lot smaller. It's a lot shorter, it's a lot smaller, and it really, in most applications, it doesn't matter if it's straight through or reversed. One side is flipped. It doesn't really matter anymore. It's basically used in analog. You can't use this in computers because in computers you want to keep that twist. These wires in here are twisted, and they're twisted at a certain number of twists per inch that helps transmit the data. And I have a video on that, why why you have twists in cable, and why it's a good thing to have twists, and why the twists are at a certain rate and everything else. That's for another video. But in this case, they're not twisted. It's solid. There's no twists in here. And they're all running parallel all the way through the whole line here. So this is not good for computer networks, but it works fine for analog devices, telephones, fax machines, modems, things like that. It is a different animal all by itself. Now, when you hear the word RJ11, usually slang, they talk about RJ11s. They talk about plugs like this, the thinner plugs, the smaller plugs than the RJ45. And that's pretty good. That's you could use that term. That's industry term, but it's not precise. Is it accurate? Yes, but it's not precise. Here is a true RJ11, and if you see, there's only 2 wires in it, and that's all you really need for a fax machine. That's all you need for most telephones today. You don't need the 3 pairs going through. Even though people still request that, that's fine. Maybe the product you're using still uses it. But in this case, this is an RJ11. The 2 center pins, and of course I have a video on pinout, but the 2 center pins, when you only have 2, that's an RJ11. And that works with digital phones, most digital phones. I don't know every brand, but most digital phones. It also works with analog, your fax modem, stuff like that. This has 3 pairs that are pushed through. But if you notice here, okay, it's not just the fact that they have those silver lines in there. It's just that they only have 2 wires attached. They're all the same thickness. It's the same thickness, and it's the same this way. This way doesn't really matter that much. It's how thick it is this way, because you have RJ11 jacks, you have RJ45 jacks. Remember, that's a slang. They're not really called RJ45 and RJ11. They're called 6-position, 6-conductor, or the other way. And you can see the difference in these, how these are fatter and bigger, and use these for computers, these for telephones, everything else. And then we're not going to discuss it in depth today, but here is a shielded computer cable, and there's a reason you use shielded. 99.9% of the time, you do not need it. I would say 99.99% of the time, you do not need it. It's a special application. It's shielded. Now, a lot of people say, well, you know, how long should I make my patch cords? What should I buy? Should I buy short ones, long ones? I'll take a measuring and I'll measure it out. You know, I'll take a ruler and figure it out. Well, you should always add a little excess, because if you're plugging in here and you're plugging in there and it gets really tight like that, they're hard to manage. So always order a little excess. And if you're going to take a patch cord from the wall to the computer, yeah, the standard is like 10 foot, even though you get these 6 foot and 7 foot sometimes with the computers. Really, if the computer's anywhere near the jack, it's 10 foot. Sometimes people order cables that are 200 feet long, and it's like, gosh, why don't you just cable it? It just makes more sense to pull a cable and put a jack on the wall and use it. Now, here is a little information from history. I've been doing this since the late 70s. I can't believe I'm that old. But at any rate, patch cords go from the patch panel to the switch, the computer switch, or from the computer switch to the router. What happens when you plug it into a wall and into the back of the computer, technically, precisely, it's called a line cord. When we used to plug in those silver satin cords back there in the telephone world, long before networking, or I should say PC networking, when you plug these in, these are called line cords, technically. But it doesn't matter, you can still call them patch cords. I just thought you'd like that little tidbit of information from the Stone Age. You know, I used to know Alexander Graham Bell. He was a friend of mine. I think I'm so old. Of course, I knew Moses too. Maybe that's useless to put in the video, I don't know. But at any rate, this is technically a line cord when it goes from the wall to the computer or from the wall to the phone. You can call it anything you want, no one's going to care. There's a lot of slang in the telephone computer world, and on top of that, there's a lot of things that have been taken from the telephone world and used in the computer world. In fact, the RJ45 was first used in in a telephone world. It used to go with AT&T computers. Excuse me. It used to go with AT&T telephones. And today we use them exclusively with computers. You know, just another thing from history, these things used to be keyed. Used to have a little bump on them that you could only plug them into certain jacks if they were computers, because they were afraid someone would plug in their AT&T telephone into a computer jack. So computers used to have keyed little plastic tab that would sit up on the end. Again, I'm giving you too much history. If you're just looking at buying buying patch cords, yeah, you know, you got to pick what your application is, what you want. This is my favorite. Again, they come in many, many colors, and you want straight through. And 99.9% of the patch cords out there are straight through. Crossover is used for like devices, switch to switch, computer to computer, things like that. But once you put a switch in the network, you want a straight through. You don't want a crossover cable. And sometimes technicians, as I said before, use crossover cables. Thank you for watching my video. I always appreciate people who watch my video, and if you have any other ideas you'd like me to discuss, I'd be happy to discuss them. You have any questions, please ask them, and we'll do a video on it if it's a good question. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on YouTube, and many comments, please. I love comments. And you know, even though I've been doing this for many, many years, I still learn something. It seems like every couple months at least, if not sometimes every day, I learn something new. So give me your thoughts. Love to hear from you. Have a great day. Hi, this is Jim with CableSupply.com. Hi, this is Jim from CableSupply.com. Hi, this is Jim with CableSupply.com, and today I'm going to show you how to cut a hole in the drywall.
This is David signing out. You stay classy, Internet.